Hello, guys. Welcome back to Sisi Nana Stories. Nnemeka Nwoye was the first son of Mama Uche, a woman whose back had bent early from farming, childbearing, and praying over other people's children, as if they were her own. Nnemeka grew up in a quiet Igbo village where mornings smelled of firewood and evenings ended with stories under the moon. But life did not keep him there. Lagos called him with noise, traffic, and hunger for success. He answered that call with both feet. Years later, he became a well-to-do businessman, dealing in building materials, moving from site to site, phone always pressed to his ear, mind always counting figures, and people hailing him respectfully, calling him Oga Emeka. Some feared him, many admired him. Yet, even with all that, Mama Uche worried. She worried because Nnemeka was growing older, and the house in the village was still waiting for a wife's laughter. Whenever Mama Uche called him, she never asked for money first. She asked questions that carried weight. My son, are you eating well? She would say. Do you still pray? Have you thought about marriage? Nnemeka would laugh it off, saying Lagos traffic was his wife for now, and promised to visit soon. Deep inside, though, he felt the pressure. He was the first son. Eyes were watching him. Expectations followed him everywhere, even into his sleep. It was his pastor in Lagos, Pastor Emenike, who finally stepped into the matter. After Sunday service one afternoon, he called Nnemeka aside with a gentle smile. He spoke about responsibility, companionship, and peace of mind. Then he mentioned a sister in church named Ifunanya Okore. She was calm, soft-spoken, and serious about her faith. Nnemeka nodded with much interest at first, but the pastor's words stayed with him longer than he expected. A week later, he quickly agreed to meet her. Their first conversation was simple. They talked about work, church, and Lagos life. Then something shifted. Ifunanya mentioned her village casually, and then Nnemeka paused. He asked her to repeat it again. When she did, his eyes widened. They were from the same village, same red soil, same stream where children once fetched water, same long road leading to the old market square. That discovery broke a wall between them. They laughed like children who had just found a lost sibling. Memories flowed easily. Shared jokes made sense without long explanations. It felt familiar, almost too familiar, like destiny nudging them closer. From that day, their bond grew fast. They spoke often. Nnemeka admired how respectful Ifunanya was, how she listened more than she spoke. Ifunanya admired his confidence and how he carried responsibility on his shoulders without complaining. Within months, what started as church conversations turned into quiet evening walks and serious discussions about the future. Nnemeka did not waste time. Oh. He proposed immediately, sharp, sharp, simply, without drama, promising care and protection. If Nanya said yes with tears in her eyes, believing God had answered her prayers. When Nnemeka took her to the village to see Mama Uche, the whole compound buzzed. Mama Uche watched closely, her eyes missing nothing. She welcomed Ifunanya warmly, hugged her tightly, and thanked God silently. To her, this marriage was not just about love. It was about continuity, unity, and balance. The wedding was done properly, with both church blessing and traditional rites. People ate, danced, and talked about how Lagos had not changed Nnemeka's respect for home. After the wedding, Nnemeka returned to Lagos with his new wife. Life settled into a routine. Business during the day, quiet dinners at night. Ifunanya adjusted quickly to city life, learning Lagos ways fast, learning her husband's moods, learning when to speak and when to stay quiet. To outsiders, everything looked perfect. But if even in happiness, Small seeds can be planted without noise. When Nnemeka approached December time, he announced they would spend Christmas in the village. Mamuche was happy beyond words. The siblings were excited. The house was cleaned, rooms were prepared. When Nnemeka and Ifunanya arrived, carrying boxes and bags, the compound filled with greetings and laughter. But that night, something unusual happened. Ifunanya brought out her own bags of foodstuff: rice, oil, seasonings, tomatoes, onions, name them. She also brought new pots, plates, and spoons. She quietly arranged them in the small kitchen attached to the two-room apartment Nnemeka had built years earlier. No one questioned her openly. Mamuche noticed though. She noticed how Ifunanya cooked separately, how she served only her husband, how she smiled politely but kept a distance. Mamuche felt a slow pain inside her chest, the kind that does not scream but sits heavily. She sensed something was shifting. Still, she said nothing. She believed some lessons take time. Love, she knew, is patient. The days after that first Christmas morning flowed quietly, but under the calm surface, small tensions began to stretch like thin ropes. Nnemeka noticed some things, but he did not think deeply about them. To him, it felt normal that a new wife would want privacy. Lagos had trained him to value boundaries, personal space, and independence. So when Ifunanya locked their kitchen door lightly after cooking or told him softly, "Dear, let us eat here. It is more comfortable," he agreed without question. He thought marriage meant choosing one person over the whole world, even when that world was your own family. But in the wider compound, eyes were watching. His younger brothers and sisters felt it clearly. Before marriage, whenever Nnemeka came home, the compound turned into a small festival. He shared money freely, laughed loudly, ate from one pot with everyone, and shared jokes with them. Now, he ate behind closed doors. The plates no longer went round. The stew did not stretch again. His siblings whispered among themselves at night, anger mixing with fear. They worried that the brother who carried them would slowly loosen his grip. One evening, his younger sister Ngozi could not hold it in anymore. She complained bitterly to Mamuche. "Mama, this is not how it used to be. Oh. We don't even see our brother anymore. Everything is locked." Mamuche listened without interrupting, her hands busy peeling garden egg seeds. When Ngozi finished, Mamuche sighed gently. "My daughter," she said, "a new wife is like a new cloth. You don't drag it on the floor. You allow it to settle on the body first." Her voice was calm, but her heart was not. She felt the sting too. She just refused to spread it. Ifunanya on her own side believed she was doing the right thing. She had grown up watching marriages break because too many voices entered the home. In the city, women advised her constantly, "Hold your husband close," oh," they usually told her. "Family will drain him dry." Those words stayed with her. Each time she saw relatives hovering around Nnemeka, asking questions, laughing through too freely, her chest tightened. She did not want to lose him. Fear pushed her hands more than hatred did. She began to control small things. She reminded Nnemeka of expenses back in Lagos. She told him stories of friends whose husbands went broke because of family demands. When he mentioned sending money home, she nodded and said gently, "Yes, dear, I will handle it." Her tone was sweet, reassuring. Nnemeka trusted her completely. After all, she was his wife. Trust felt natural. Mamuche noticed that money no longer came directly. Before, alerts dropped regularly, and she shared with the children wisely. Now, if Nanya would call and say, "Mama, Nnemeka sent something. I will forward it soon. Just be patient." Weeks would pass. Mamuche never complained. She stretched what she had. She sowed small harvests. She prayed harder. In her heart, she asked God for wisdom, not revenge. One afternoon, tensions almost exploded. Nnemeka's younger brother Chukwudi made a sharp comment about food in the compound. Ifunanya had it and froze. Her face hardened. She went inside and stayed there. Later that night, Nnemeka asked what was wrong. She cried quietly, saying she felt unwelcome, disrespected, unsafe. Her tears broke him. He held her and promised protection. Outside, Mamuche watched the moon and whispered prayers instead of complaints. As days passed, the separation grew clearer. Two sides, one compound. Mamuche gathered her children one night and spoke firmly. There will be no fighting or insults in this house. This house will not scatter because of anger. Follow her with love. If love does not change her, patience will. Some of the children nodded reluctantly. Others struggled, but respect for their mother kept them quiet. What no one knew was that life was already carrying a turning point quietly inside Ifunanya. She was pregnant, though she had not told anyone yet. Fear mixed with joy inside her body. She felt weak, sometimes dizzy, other times tired. She still held tightly to her walls, not knowing that walls can protect, but also isolate. One morning, while the whole village gathered for a town hall meeting, Ifunanya stayed back alone. Mamuche had gone early. Suddenly, sharp pain cut through her body. Fear rushed in faster than blood. She tried to stand, failed and cried out. No one answered. The whole house felt empty. Just when her strength almost left her, Mamuche returned briefly, forgotten item in hand. What she saw stopped her heart. Without shouting, without blaming, Mamuche lifted her, called for help and rushed her to the nearest village clinic. On that road, fear melted into dependence. Ifunanya held Mamuche's wrapper tightly, whispering prayers she never thought she would pray beside her mother-in-law. That journey would change everything. The clinic smelled of spirit and fear. Ifunanya lay on the narrow bed, sweat soaking her clothes, eyes moving from ceiling to mama. As if trying to understand what life was saying to her in that moment, the nurse spoke quickly, asking questions, checking her body, calling for the doctor. Mamuche stood close, her hands steady even though her heart was beating hard. She had seen pain before. She had buried hopes before. She refused to let fear control her now. When the doctor finally came out, after what felt like forever, he spoke carefully. The pregnancy was still there, but it was fragile. Stress, tension, and lack of stress and lack of rest were working against her body. She needed calm, she needed care, she needed peace. Mamuche nodded as if she had already known. Deep inside, she had always known. Ifunanya cried quietly as they returned home. Not the loud cry of pain, but the soft cry of someone whose heart had been cracked open. Mamuche helped her to lie down, wiped her body with warm water and prepared light food. No insults, no reminders, no "I told you so," just care. That silence spoke louder than words. Later that evening, Ifunanya broke down. "Mama," she said in a shaking voice, "I am sorry." The words came out slowly, like they had been stuck for a long time. "I was afraid. I thought if I didn't hold my husband tight, I would lose him." Mamuche sighed beside her and listened. She did not rush her. She allowed the words to fall where they needed to fall. "My daughter," Mamuche finally said, "love does not need chains. It needs room to breathe." She told her stories of her own marriage, how she had once been afraid too, how fear almost ruined her peace. "Family is not a battleground," she added softly. "It's a garden. If you don't water every side, one part will dry." Those words settled deep inside Ifunanya. For the first time, she saw Mamuche not as a competition, but as a woman who had walked the road before her and survived. That night, sleep came gently. When Nnemeka returned from Lagos days later and had everything, his chest tightened. He thanked his mother deeply, holding her longer than usual. He also looked at his wife differently, not with anger, but with concern. They talked late into the night. Honest talk had tears flowed. Fear was named. Silence was broken. Ifunanya promised to change, and for a while she did. She cooked with everyone. She greeted freely. She sent messages to the siblings, The compound breathed easier. Mamuche smiled more, but some seeds once planted take time to fully uproot. Months passed. The babies grew. Peace seemed to return, but something was still hidden. Money sent through Ifunanya never reached its destination. Mama Uche kept quiet. She believed truth has its own legs. The day truth finally stood up was unexpected. Nnemeka needed a bank confirmation for business reasons. He checked records. He checked alerts. He asked questions casually, then seriously, then directly. What he found shook him. Money meant for his mother and siblings had been held back. Stories had been told, lies wrapped in calm voices. His chest burned. Anger rose fast. That night, confrontation came like thunder. Ifunanya cried again. But this time, fear carried guilt. She confessed fear of loss, fear of poverty, fear of abandonment. Nemeka paced the room, hands on his head. Trust felt bruised. Marriage felt heavy. Mamuche was called. She came quietly. When Nemeka expected anger, she surprised him. Do not destroy your home, she said calmly. Correct it. Her words slowed him down. He remembered the unborn children. He remembered forgiveness. Nemeka forgave, not because it was easy, but because he chose peace over pride. Boundaries were set, truth was demanded, healing began slowly. In that quiet decision, the family learned that love grows when fear is faced, not fed. Life did not return to normal immediately after the truth came out. Forgiveness does not wipe away pain in one night. It sits with it, walks through it slowly, and teaches both sides how to breathe again. In the weeks that followed Nemeka's discovery, the house felt quieter, heavier, like everyone was careful not to step on broken glass. Ifunanya moved gently around the compound, her eyes softer than before, her voice lower. She greeted Mamuche with more respect, not forced, but thoughtful. Each greeting carried shame, gratitude, and a desire to do better all at once. Nemeka struggled internally. At work, he still negotiated deals and gave instructions like nothing had happened. At night, when the house was quiet, his thoughts became loud. He remembered every time he had trusted without question, every time he had defended his wife blindly. Anger still visited him sometimes, uninvited. But each time he looked at Ifunanya's growing stomach, his anger softened into responsibility. Children were coming. A future was already forming. Mamuche remained steady. She did not remind anyone of past wrongs. She focused on the present. She helped Ifunanya rest, prepared local meals that strengthened pregnancy, and shared stories of childbirth that carried both warning and comfort. Sometimes she joked lightly, easing the tension. These babies are already giving us lessons before arriving, she once said, making Ifunanya smile weakly. As months passed, a strange respect grew between the two women. They talked more openly. Ifunanya admitted how city advice has shaped her fears. Mamuche explained village values not as rules but as reasons. They laughed over small things, like how Mamuche once burned soup while distracted by gossip years ago. Those moments stitched something back together. The siblings watched carefully. Trust was so fragile, but they noticed change. Ifunanya no longer avoided them. She asked questions. She involved them in small decisions. Slowly, resentment loosed its grip. Then life tested them again. One hot afternoon, Ifunanya went into early signs of labor unexpectedly. Panic returned quickly. Nnemeka was away on business. Phones rang. Neighbors gathered. Mamuche took charge without shouting. She organized transport, kept Ifunanya calm, and prayed out loud with a steady voice. At the hospital, doctors worked fast. Fear hovered in the room, thick and heavy. Hours later, the babies survived. So did the mother. Relief flooded everyone. When Nnemeka arrived and saw both alive, tears rolled down his face freely. In that moment, pride, anger, and suspicion fell away. All that remained was gratitude. That night, Nnemeka held his wife's hand longer than ever before. We will do this right, he said simply. Ifunanya nodded, tears slipping silently. She understood now. Separation weakens, unity protects. The baby's cries became a new sound in the house, a reminder, a second chance. In that cry, the family had hope. The arrival of the babies did not magically erase the past, but it gave everyone a new reason to sit still and look at themselves. The house felt different now. Nights were broken by soft cries. Mornings started slower. Even the compound seemed to move with more care, as if the ground itself understood that something fragile and important had arrived. Nnemeka stayed longer in the village than planned. Lagos could wait. For the first time in years, he woke up without rushing. He watched his mother carry the babies with same confidence she once carried him. He watched his wife struggle, learn, and sometimes fail, then try again. In those quiet observations, his anger slowly lost its strength. Pain does not disappear because you command it to leave. It leaves when it feels understood. One evening, when the babies finally slept, Nemeka asked Ifunanya to sit with him outside. The moon was bright, crickets filled the silence. He spoke calmly but firmly. He told her how deeply the money issue had hurt him, not because of the cash itself, but because of the broken trust. He explained what it meant to be a first son, how responsibility had shaped his life, how cutting off his family felt like cutting off a part of himself. Ifunanya listened without interrupting. No excuses this time. When he finished, she spoke slowly. She admitted everything again, but deeper. She talked about insecurity, about watching women lose their husbands, about fear turning her into someone she did not recognize. I thought I was protecting my home, she said, her voice breaking. I didn't know I was destroying it. Nemeka did not shout. He did not walk away. He told her forgiveness was not forgetting. It was choosing to rebuild with truth. Together they agreed on clear boundaries. Money will go directly where it was meant to go. Transparency would not be optional. Respect for family would be practiced, not preached. The next day, something unexpected happened. Ifunanya called Mamuch and the siblings together. With her head slightly bowed, she apologized openly. Not dramatic, not forced, honest. She asked for another chance, not as a perfect person, but as someone willing to learn. Silence filled the compound. Then Mamuche stood up, held her hands and said, "We move forward." That was all. From that day, change became visible. Support returned to the household. Laughter slowly found its way back. The siblings helped with the babies. Ifunanya allowed herself to lean on them. Nnemeka felt lighter, like a weight had been shared at last. Months later, when they returned to Lagos, they returned differently. Visits home became warmer, calls became frequent. Money reached where it was meant to reach. Trust was once broken, was rebuilt with patience, not speed. Looking back, Nnemeka understood something clearly. Marriage is not about isolation, it's about balance. Love does not demand separation to survive, it demands honesty. And in that understanding, peace settled fully into their home. This story reminds us that fear can make good people act wrongly, but patience and truth can still bring healing. Families don't break because of one mistake, they break when pride refuses to listen. Love grows when people are willing to talk, forgive, and change. If you're struggling with trust, it's okay to feel confused, but don't stay silent. You've got this. Homes are built with effort, not perfection. When love and honesty work together, even deep wounds can heal. With this, we've come to the end of today's story. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, share with someone, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Remember, life na jeje.